So how did you know to stick it out? How did you know to kind of ride the river?
So first and foremost, he grew up in a 2-parent household. His father was extremely present, and that was an anomaly for me. So it was like, oh, this is different. Your dad's here. His mother served his father his lunch on a silver tray while he sat in his chair. That for me was a red flag, right? Because I come from dysfunction and toxicity. Why would she be serving him? Isn't she independent? Like, why does she give him so much control over herself? And I had already decided this relationship is not going to work because he's going to expect me to be like his mama, and I'm not his mama.
I will exit before I enter.
There you go.
Yikes.
And the thing is, I began to watch how his mother took pleasure in completing these simple tasks for her husband. And I was like,
we don't talk about that.
Listen, not at all.
Servitude and subservience, and it's like, I love this man so much that I want to put this tray in his
Right.
lap. We don't talk about that.
We don't talk about that at all.
Because you put out the trays.
I got all the accoutrements.
We got
I don't put food on paper plates.
Right.
That's it.
I serve a grown man on
New
the
trays
Right.
for the new man.
New trays for the new man. You better believe it.
Yes, and it made me
Very
stop
cool.
and take notice.
Yep.
And it was kind of like,
Very
well,
good.
what's behind this?
Yeah.
Right? What's here to this? And so that was first and foremost. And then I recognized how much he appreciated his mother and his sister. They're only 2 years apart. But he would be like, I got to do this for my sister because, it's my sister. If I need something all the time. And so I was like, oh, maybe I can start looking at trays, right? Maybe trays are not going to be that big a deal. Well, let's go to Home Goods and see if they got some new, that kind of thing. And it sort of just piqued my interest in wanting to experience something that was different from what I had seen. And while the women who raised me, my mother, my aunties, my grandmothers, they are amazingly fierce, strong, beautiful, powerful Black women. They were not always happy women.
Yes.
And I wanted happiness.
You wanted happiness.
I had to figure out what path was going to lead me to happiness. Maybe this one might, but I know that one won't. So let me just try this on.
Let me just try this one over here.
Let me try it on.
Why do you think we as women are so hard on other women that go to the good lengths to keep their men happy, satisfied, etc., or just even just to keep a man? Because some folks like some people think a half a man is better than no man. I am not among them.
Nor am I.
But why do you think we're so hard on other women who are like, my man, my man, my man, my man? That's how it goes, the song? My man, my man, my man.
My man. So I think it's twofold. I think that there is a part of our community who is like, what you do affects all of us, right? So if you allow this man to do anything and everything, the next woman who gets him has to deal with that. And so let's have some self-confidence. Let's have some self-awareness. Let's create some level of boundaries so that we can just make the man better, right? Most women don't want to acknowledge, but most of the relationships that you're in, you are simply there to prepare him for the woman that he's actually going to choose.
I hate it. I hate life. Oh my God. Joy, no.
I Joy.
I'm triggered.
I'm so sad we need a moment. I'm so mad.
Yes.
That feels like my whole life.
Right.
Daisy, I understand. Daisy said, to hell with this mess. Look, she sat up too, y'all.
But that doesn't mean you're supposed to
Stay.
Outstay your welcome.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
That's what a lot of people do. I'll stay there walking.
Okay.
They stay too
Fair
long.
enough.
For sure.
Fair enough.
The signs were there.
Yes. All the signs are there.
Fair enough.
We
You
had this
did your
conversation this
preparation.
morning.
Now it's time for you to leave. And you don't prepare him by doing things for him. You simply prepare him in the way that you show up, in the things that you're willing to accept, in the things that you set hard boundaries on. That's how you prepare him.
Yeah.
So that when he gets to the next stop, he's better. That's not your primary focus, but you simply get to recognize that that's a part of the arrangement. That's the part of the nature of life.
Yeah.
And then on the other side of that, I do also believe that there are some women who are like, I can't stand the pick-me's, the my man, because I don't know what that feels like.
I mean,
I want that. Why you and not
why
me?
you and not me? Because that's really the underlying
Why you
question.
and not
Why
me?
you and not me? I was
Right.
talking to one of the gentlemen that I'm dating, and I said to him, I like to have the hard conversations early, because I believe that you need to be values aligned.
Yeah.
And the way you get to understand if your values align is you talk about hard things before you're emotionally invested. Because when you're emotionally invested is when you censor yourself, or you hedge a little bit, or you hold it because you're like, that's going to really set something off. I really don't want to know. But in the beginning, it's not like you're saying, I don't give a damn, but you're more apt to be like, so about this person you said you were dating before, like about the fact that you don't talk to your parents, like whatever the it is, so you can get to what is really important early. And I don't think that enough of us set out in the beginning to go, I know I just met you on Monday, and today's Friday, but if we could just have 2 quick in the cone of silence in a circle of trust conversations so we can see if we should stay here, that'd be great.
Let me tell you what one of my key pieces of early dating advice is.
I'm listening.
Stress him out.
Oh.
Do not go to dinner. Do not go to a movie. Do not go to any environment where you're going to be able to see him operate as his best self. Go axe throwing, go solve a puzzle, go to an escape room where you can see how he shows up when he has to deal with stress. Because that's a truer representation of who he's going to be most of the time than who he is sitting across from you in this beautiful restaurant in all this beautiful lighting. And then you don't have to necessarily listen for the red flags, because in the right environment, the red flags you get to observe, they're going to come out. Oh, this is how he operates when he gets a little stressed, a little upset.
Like, oh, look,
take it easy.
Snapped at the lady.
Snapping at you, snapping at the lady, being unkind to the people because he's frustrated. And so I'm always like, yeah, do a coffee date or something quick to just chit chat. But on that first date, create an environment that will allow who he really is to at least peek through his representative. And the earlier that you get to do that, the less time you have to spend trying to figure out who he really is.
Woo.
Oh, when she said stress him out, I thought
just be stressful. That's what I thought. I literally was like, oh, I can do that. Like, I was like, oh, I'm going to try that today. Like, I was like, wow, that is funny. Okay, so.
She clarified because I was supposed to be stressing
oh my God, me too.
The lady said stress you out, so I'm sorry.
You're like, right, I'm sorry. This is my advice my coach is giving me. So listen, I'm going to play a little game with y'all.
Okay.
And so we're going to call this crime scene. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show y'all an image, and I want you to describe what you think is happening with the couple in this image.
Are we screaming out like charades, or are we being polite?
No,
or what?
either or is fine. But
Okay.
I want to see what y'all think. Okay, so are you ready?
Ready.
Okay, y'all going to get this in a second. Okay, let's see. Can y'all see? Okay, scenario number 1.
There's a few things going on here.
All right.
It is.
Okay, so what do we think is going on in this crime scene? It's a relationship crime scene. Dun, dun, dun. Fila, go ahead. Let me hear.
So, first of all, there is a complete lack of respect for personal boundaries, right? If I have to get to the point where I physically have to try to stop you or hold you back, that means that verbally, you may have already assaulted me. Emotionally, you have already attacked me. And so now, as a woman, I feel threatened. Yep. I don't feel safe. And I'm physically asserting myself to put you back, right? Sis need to run.
She needs to run.
And make a phone call on the way to running and have somebody meet her there to take care of what's happening here. This is a man who looks like he does not respect her personal boundaries, who also looks like he is totally out of control emotionally, who doesn't have the emotional maturity to control and manage his emotions in this situation. And I feel like sis might be in a little bit of danger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do y'all think?
I
You don't see that?
I don't either.
Ooh, okay, let's do it. Let's hear it.
Because her back is turned to him, it looks like she's trying to put a barrier between
Him and
something
someone.
else that's happening on the
Somebody
other
maybe
side.
said something
Really?
inappropriate
That's
to
what
her, or something
Yeah.
is like she's trying to hold him
she's
back
trying-
so he doesn't get into trouble. So
Right.
which is it?
So there may,
Which
now
one
here's the
is it?
thing, there may be something around, I'm not going to say respect, if she's
If she's
I
holding him
put
back
it
to
on the
protect
side.
him.
To those on the other side, if she's inserting herself between two men, or if it's something like that,
Yeah.
but I feel like, in no way do I feel harmed by somebody that I'm doing this with
Right.
my back. I'm
Right.
looking in
You
the
know,
face if I
right.
gotta do that.
And I'm backing
And
up.
I'm backing up. So I think that her looking that way, it looks like it
Like
looked like
she's
she's creating a
protecting
barrier between like.
Yes,
just
yes,
saying,
yes.
I'm
Interesting.
handling this,
Yes,
and
Yeah,
I'm-
yeah,
Interesting.
I got
Or
this
she's
good.
trying to
Yeah,
keep
I'm
him
trying to
from,
keep him
from being
Going
more
somewhere
aggressive.
else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Interesting.
So interestingly, you and I share the same idea because when I first looked at it, I was like, "Oh, sis got run," you know, like, and I literally had to like stop myself because I was like, "Okay, I just can't look at it until everybody else does." So
Let's
there's no
see.
correct answer,
Oh.
but the right answer is actually she was standing between him and someone else.
We don't see the picture of the someone else.
This is all this.
I'm looking at her posture. There's no way
Yes,
I think
yeah,
you about to
yeah,
harm me, and
yes.
my back is to you.
And it looks like he's yelling
He's
to
looking
somebody
over her.
else.
Yeah, yeah.
He looks like he's looking at her to me
Yes.
in the video.
Yeah, yeah.
You're never. I don't know if it's Brooklyn. You ain't never getting back come out of that.
It's Brooklyn. It's Brooklyn.
Why do you
It's
look
Brooklyn.
in the back of
all
my
day
head?
long.
It's Brooklyn all day.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm in the
Ooh,
middle.
wait a minute. Who you yelling at?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Whole
Yelling
side
at.
of her body is
Yeah.
extremely
Yeah.
dropped. She's
Right.
Like,
You should
Right.
show
in
relax.
all honesty, her hand, like he's not charging her either. He's taking the L. He
Yes.
might still be talking, but he's not pushing her forward. She's not.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's a soft.
Yeah.
It's
that's
not.
what-
I
Yes.
was like, we Queens girls off there. Danger! okay, we're gonna go to the next one.
This is fine.
All right, hold on, Lord. Okay. So this is the next crime scene. What is happening in this scene?
All right, Daisy.
There you go.
Right. She's trying to sing and he don't want to hear it.
What's she singing about, right? You know, this looks to me like a complete shutdown. One partner is overcompensating whatever their needs are, coming from a place of lack of awareness of what the other one needs also. And he doesn't want to hear it, but it's not just like he don't want to hear it. It's like, I can't take it anymore. I can't take it. I can't hear it. There's an emotional shutdown on one side, and she seems to be, I don't care what you don't want to hear, right?
Yeah.
Which is a lack of personal boundaries also. But it really seems like these are two folks whose communication styles are differently, and it's not working. He's shutting down. She's turning up. And nobody's
They
going to be
might
heard.
even be playing the game.
Y'all are such
No,
optimists.
can I tell you what's funny to me? I feel like when we change race and gender,
Yeah, I cared
we
less.
appreciate this situation. We saw a black couple. We told sis to run. We see these white people. We not telling him to run. That looks crazy to me.
No, I'm
That I
not
have to
telling him to
posture
run.
myself in a way where I gotta block somebody out. She's screaming, her hand is up like this. I'm just looking at like how when we
how
split
we're
we
socialized.
immediately saw harm, right? In this black man interacting with this black man. And I'm not saying that was
Right,
no
no.
harm. This one is like
Good
we just got
conversation
different
to have.
communication styles.
But
They're
not to
agreeing with one
minimize.
another. No, I'm looking
Yeah,
at how
no.
vehement. I don't know if it was the protection of black women. I don't know what that was.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like
When it's
vehemence
attractive.
and sis gotta get out of here versus they're not chatting in the same. Like it was
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
much more relaxed.
I think the cultural perspective
yeah.
always comes
Yeah.
into play.
Always.
Yeah, and,
Always
maybe, and I
comes
think
into
it's
play.
also maybe it looked like a woman was on the discomfortable side versus
Exactly,
this man can
yeah.
take this. I also,
But he
in
don't
my
look like he can
opinion,
take it.
And that was my other thing. I think it may also, in my opinion, is that
It speaks
how
to
far is
mental
this
health
man
as
away
well.
from a snap?
Exactly.
Because she's not reading any signs and backing up. He's like, he's not
like-
just his
he's
ears
like,
are
oh my
covered,
God.
his eyes are tight. He's grimaced up. But I just noticed like how much
We just
easier
changed.
we got with
we were like,
tone
oh
and
damn,
everything.
y'all really not talking.
they're not communicating well.
Oh my God, that
It's
is
like-
Do we,
so
you know what's
good.
an interesting question then? Does that mean that we don't care as much?
I do.
That's interesting to me. Like, is it kind of like, okay,
That we
but
don't
now,
care as
do
much.
we
Also,
care
it's like
any
I
less?
think it's also when we see men under duress, we
don't
don't tell
value
men to
them?
run the same way we
It
tell
was
women
it
to
was
run.
race for me, but
He-
Okay, and let's talk about it. Let's talk about the things that's our mental model that we bring to the table. Okay, you ready for another one?
We're ready.
Okay, we got one more.
Does that say something?
It says, "You're my other half, my happily ever after. You're everything I've ever hoped for and wished for. I love you always."
But it's burning and it's on fire.
I feel like in this scenario,
Yes.
somebody gave you this and then didn't keep that word, and I wanted to rid myself of this.
Yep.
Like this is trash to me.
Yep.
You said this, but you didn't live up to it.
right.
What I see also, I guess, is similar. It's a personal release to me. I don't know if somebody else gave it to me or if this was my
My
own
thing.
words initially, but that I just
this
don't
is a
want to feel
release.
like this. It's gone.
Yeah.
It's over with. Yeah.
All right, I like that one. Okay, we're gonna go another one. Hold on. Okay.
That looks supportive to me.
It does. It looks like he almost is getting ready to propose, or he just did.
She's crying.
Yeah, it looks like he might have proposed or something.
It don't look like a happy cry to me, but it does look like support.
Well,
It looks like support. It looks like
Those
engagement.
engagement cries
Yes.
ain't happy.
It's
It's an ugly one. It's an ugly cry. Oh.
It looks like a supportive
Yes.
interaction between the two of them. His face doesn't necessarily look like something good happened, in my opinion, but it does look like he's there to support her. He's there to give her whatever it is that she needs.
I love that. I love that. You
What
got a
is
good
the
one?
Look at my CSI mind.
Oh my God!
Yes,
You're like
girl.
they're covering up a murder.
I think also sometimes, you think about like what were the potential moments that landed in
Before
there. Like,
that.
did he cause the harm? Did something else cause the harm? Was there a loss? Like you like what
Yeah.
is what is the consoling? But I think that's just my mind racing.
Yeah.
No, because he
But
could
yeah, I
be
do
consoling
think-
because he cheated and she
Yeah,
found
right,
out.
right.
He could be
All the things,
consoling
but
for
you were
another
like, there's a
thing. But
constellation
there's
of support that's
exactly
happening
support
in
that's
that.
happening.
I try
Yeah.
to be
Comfort there.
optimistic.
You did. He was getting a proposal.
But what
Yeah.
was it? She was.
No.
Oh.
She was being
Oh,
consoled.
we don't get the answers, right?
No, I didn't. All of them don't have answers.
Okay.
Only a couple of them, but no, she was being consoled. But I don't know. I don't know from.
Okay, so that was it.
Okay,
All right.
now this is our last one, y'all.
It's by with
B-
lipsticks up.
is-
Oh,
that
she
says
wrote it
bye?
lipstick.
Yeah, she wrote
In
a lipstick.
lipstick?
No, it was
Probably
the
on
night.
mirror.
It was the morning after.
Yeah.
Bye, boo.
It was something sexy happening.
Meanwhile, I was
Red
like,
lipstick.
I was like, I took all the stuff out the house. And I wrote it on the mirror. That's what it felt like to
Really?
me. As soon as I saw it, I was like, did somebody die? I just,
You know, red lipstick always gives sex and sexy
True,
and that
true,
kind of thing.
true.
And there are other
Unless it's
lipsticks
on
there.
CSI.
So she didn't take the
She didn't take
lipstick
the
with her.
she just put
She,
it
you
on
know,
there.
and then left.
It was-
I think it would
was
be
the
like,
next day. It was the
buy
next day.
something
the bye
else.
the next day. Listen, y'all, that
It
was
was the
our.
buy before the plan B.
It was my.
Let me run and get it.
Let me really get
Yeah.
it. I love that,
Red
y'all.
lips are always sex.
Listen, relationship crime scene is the best to me because I'm trying to figure out, and it just shows like our perspectives on how
Yeah.
we see relationships and how we see like what is or is not toxic, who is or who's not in danger, and I think that is really dope the way you look at it. Okay, so I'm gonna ask y'all a couple of pop quiz questions, and then we're gonna wrap up. Ooh,
Okay.
pop quiz.
'Cause I
Okay,
think
so I
Chanel
pulled this.
is done.
Chanel's like, look, as long as I'm chilling here, I'm chilling. Just don't fart, Chanel. Okay. All right, I'm showing all my skivvies, y'all.
That was the plan.
Hold on. What's a quirky thing you do when you have a night home alone?
Quirky. I don't know if it's quirky or not, but I do a lot of naked dancing. Like around the space, in front of him,
Yes.
around the room. It's just when nobody's home, there's a certain level of freedom. No children are there, whomever. So I just do a lot of naked dancing. Whether he's there or not there. When he's not there, I'm naked dancing in the mirror. When he's there, I'm naked
You
dancing in
dancing for
front of
him.
him. Is that quirky?
Ooh, yo, no, that is quirky.
I guess it is.
In a
I'm
good
not,
quirk way.
I'm not a credible speaker. I live by myself, so every day is a quirky day. I mean, I walk around naked all the time anyway, so.
You're like, oh no.
With this naked and ashamed, okay?
All right, let's try another one. Would you consider being in an open relationship? Why or why not?
The answer is absolutely I will not.
I'm not a sharer.
I don't want to share my mate in that way. I don't.
I don't share
my
food. I don't
share
share
my
food. I don't share men.
I'll share some food because God knows I'm a phone call away from lipo. But the point is that I
I'll get
wouldn't.
you your own.
You get
I
to,
will
you
get
get
you
your
your
own?
own.
I'll
Okay.
share food. I'll even share money, but I will
Yeah,
not share a person.
You're not
yeah, I don't want to share my
Money
mate.
is
I
all
don't.
the time. My food and my man.
I
That's
think
mine.
it sends the wrong message.
What message do you think it sends?
It sends the message that they can do as they please anytime they want.
And you're like that, but so
That's not what I signed up for. There are some people who will sign up for that. I'm just not one of them.
yeah. What do you, how do you
I
think
am
that?
not
Oh, go ahead.
secure, and I am not the person that can watch a person I'm intimately connected with be pleased by somebody else and be good with it.
And be good with
So
it.
that's not maybe it could be insecure, whatever we're gonna call it. It could be insecurity.
You can
it could
label
be
it whatever you want,
But
but
you like- but
I'm
you're
not
not
built
doing it.
for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I think
Not
that's-
emotionally secure enough
no.
for that. But I don't think
I don't know that I
emotional
even want to be.
insecurity-
I don't know that I ever want to be that secure.
That part,
I'm
exactly.
more than okay
And
with
whether
that
or not
level of
that's
insecurity.
security or not is debatable.
It's debatable.
It's debatable.
It is debatable. It is
It's
debatable.
absolutely something that I am opposed to personally, and I know that there's a lot of talk about it being the in thing, the new
It
thing.
feels like the in thing, even though it's not new, but it feels
It's
like
new
it's the
now.
new now.
Yeah,
It's the
the
new
new
way to
now.
be. People are like,
So
oh,
do
I
we
just
have
want
to adhere to trends is what you're saying? I don't want to do it.
Absolutely
No,
not.
I'm not with the trend.
Look,
I had thought about a fractional
Yeah.
boyfriend.
Right.
But I think it's a conversation worth having because
Yeah.
a lot of single women, especially women I see over 40, are starting to consider it when it's never been something that they ever would have considered before. So you have to be secure enough to know that you don't want something and that this is not going to work for you. Like,
That's right.
personally, I know it's not going to work for me. And there are some clients I work with who begin to consider, and this is not for you. You are type A, number one, do not want to share space with anyone, don't have the emotional capacity to make room for an individual in your life. How are you going to make room for an individual and his 3 other individuals?
We have to make sure that we are not conflating evolution with settling.
There you
No,
go.
absolutely.
Like, I'm
We-
evolving. No, you've given up.
You've
Right.
given up, you've settled,
Sometimes it feels
and
like
you're
folks have given
accepting
up.
the bare minimum.
And I know that so the conversation around open relationships really centered around control.
Yeah.
And that we can't control other people. And so this desire to be in a one-on-one relationship is more about control and less about our ability to be able to be with other people.
Or our
What do
ability
y'all
to
think?
control ourselves. If you don't
Or
have
ability
enough
to control
self-control for monogamy, then an open relationship is your way out, right? So I think we make it about another person controlling us, but some people don't exhibit enough personal
Exactly.
self-control
Absolutely.
to happily be in monogamous relationships.
And don't want to learn how to have
don't
the
wanna learn it.
self-management. And the beautiful part, and maybe it's for some folks, possibly, but the beautiful part about monogamy is not that you're controlling another person, but it's that you and another person are getting to choose to operate in this space together over and over and over and over and over. You don't decide to be in a monogamous relationship on
No.
day one and feel the same way all the time. Things change.
Things change. You
But
have to keep
each
choosing
day,
it.
we are continually choosing that, and that's the beauty of it. And the goal for every human being is self-discipline.
That's right.
You have to be able to discipline yourself and manage yourself around whatever factors are in place.
That's right.
And if you have not yet learned how to simply operate in a healthy monogamous relationship, a
There's
poly
no way- a
relationship
poly
is not
is
going to
gonna
work.
be a
It's
disaster.
not going to work.
It's
The
gonna be a
question is, if you are in an open relationship, why be with someone? Why be in a relationship?
To soothe my needs and get my needs met.
But you're getting a need by met by other people.
Absolutely.
But that's the
So-
whole premise, that
so-
one person cannot meet all your needs.
So then you
Therefore,
shouldn't
to
have
meet
a relationship. You should just be outside.
hopping
You should
from
figure out
front-
how to
front
solve
to
your
front
own
to
No,
front.
they want.
But
they,
folks are not going to do that.
it's there is stability in open. In most of the open relationships, they're not hopping around. It is.
They have the option
These
to
are the people that we
entertain.
entertain, and people set rules around it. You can't be
Yeah.
with the person. Like with threes, people do. You can't be with the person without me. Y'all don't get to go off and friddle through the fraddle.
Oh, they said there's
They
no
gotta be-
kissing because
Yeah,
I've been
there's-
approached
there's
with
certain-
this.
there's things
No
that-
kissing.
So you have lived. You
I have.
lived.
I have.
Yes.
Okay, like there's those things. So I think people set boundaries around their thing. For me, that's why I go back to like the for me.
Yeah, the personal part of it.
I'm not. I want to know who's talking in the background. Who's
Yeah.
that in the background? I'm not built for.
for that. Yeah.
There are some folks now who
I'm not gonna be competing.
Me
do
neither. I'm
not
too old.
have the capacity to be emotionally vulnerable, but want to
Girl,
be partnered.
you hungry?
Yes.
And I believe in
Yes.
those cases, these are the kinds of people that we see often who these relationships work for, where I don't necessarily have to really be vulnerable with
I don't
you.
gotta dig
I don't
deep.
got to expose myself.
That's
I don't
right.
have to go below the surface here. You can have someone else for that.
Yeah.
But we have our coffee date on Thursday. You help me lift my Amazon boxes. You take out the trash. And those are the things that work for me without calling me to task to really take a more open look at myself.
That accountability factor.
Right.
That accountability. And I know there's going to be folks who are going to drop it in the comments about
Yes,
how we are wrong
I'm
and
sure.
incorrect. And we want to hear all those things.
I only aspire to be right for myself.
That's
Listen,
it.
that's
I
it.
only
I don't need to be
aspire
right for
to be
society.
right
That's
for
it.
I don't
myself.
need to be right for me and the people in my space. I don't need to be right for the entire.
Chew the
for
meat,
planet.
spit out the bone.
There
If it
you
doesn't
go.
work for you.
That's it. I think, so one of my questions that I have as we're wrapping up is, are we harder on women and her reaction to situations than we are on the behavior of a toxic partner?
As a collective, as a community, you know, I think that also depends on racial implications.
We just saw a relationship crime scene.
Right. That depends on racial
Our forensic skills were at work.
Because Black women are judged so much more harshly than other women,
Yes.
I agree.
even by black men.
Yes.
I agree.
Oh, that's the thing that is taking us down.
I would agree.
We talked
I'm not
earlier
gonna
about that
disagree.
fissure with black men and black women in
Right.
particular, and it is that like, are we in a death match?
Yeah.
Like, it feels like that all the time. You know, I have to be above reproach, and even then, you looking for ways to kick my stool.
Right, right.
You know, so that is a hard place
Yeah,
to be.
yeah.
And so when I kirk out, then I get judged really harshly because back to me being on a pedestal that you were trying to kick me from off, you know, kick me off.
And not to minimize black men's challenges with the world. but
Correct.
I don't believe
No.
that black women are judging them as harshly as they're judging us sometimes, right? They're putting so much on their back
don't
from
know
a
about
relationship
that.
perspective. Black men, I believe, feel like the world is on their shoulders in a traditional historical context. And used to come home to black women. And that was where the brunt of the anger was released. And so it's created this resentment between the both of us within our own homes that spilled out into the streets. And as a community and a collective, I think that we operate from that ideology now, that it's your fault or it's my fault. However, what I see, traditionally speaking, is that black women have been front and center in the protection of black men
Yep.
in a way that black men may not have been collectively for black women, right? In my personal life, I've always been protected by black men. Bunch of uncles, cousins, all of that. Anything happened, could always call, never had a problem. But when I'm talking to the bulk of black women who have achieved and who have reached a certain level of personal success, they feel unprotected by black men, and then they feel judged by everyone else.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. So if you had a reaction, you were like,
So, because I want to be concise, my thought sometimes is that my experience, y'all gonna get me canceled from black women. I promise.
no, you're
ahead,
not.
girl.
No,
My thought
because
is
there are a lot of
that
women who feel the
There
same
are
exact way.
moments
Come
where
on, talk
we are
about it.
asking men who we have not centered in any other moment to come in and be protectors.
Absolutely.
I'm not showing up to protect you if you ain't hit me up for nothing else. And so
Right.
I do think that we have dismissed the necessity of black men in ways, and again, I think some of it is systemic, but we've allowed the dismissal of the importance of black men in a lot of ways. And then when we feel like something is happening, we now like we're our protectors. You dismiss them when they were our friends. You dismiss them in so many other areas that they're not standing around waiting for you to now be harmed and need protection. Right? So I do think that we have to be mindful of when we're looking for them, and not saying I'm only looking for you here. And when I look for you this one time over here, you weren't here, so that means you're absent. If I didn't look for you in other moments, the other thing that I feel like is a crazy phenomenon is the best way I can describe it. What's your favorite food?
Shrimp.
Shrimp. Mine is pizza, right? Kashana's gonna be black men. I'm gonna be black women. Let's just hold it this way.
Let's hold it that. Hold it down.
I feel like the world has given Kashana pizza and given me shrimp. So I'm looking at Kashana like, you got the pizza.
Right. I'm
And
like,
you looking at me like,
my shrimp
you got the
cocktail.
shrimp. And we literally are looking at the other person like they got something better, when neither of us are actually sitting in what we want or what we desire. And that has been the constant conflating, is that women have been put in a position where we say, y'all get all the jobs. We didn't want these goddamn jobs.
Correct. Thank you.
Right?
Out of necessity.
Y'all get to this, y'all get to that.
We ain't want that.
We
We
didn't
were
want
waiting.
it, right? We're doing it. So I do think that in a lot of instances, it was safer for women to be, right, in certain positions because they would get the. I think we have just we've
It was
taken it on.
safer
It was
because
safer.
they would get what?
There was societally, in certain instances, it was safer for women to be in the front because of the way men were treated societally.
Yes, I would
Right?
agree with that.
I think that. So I think now that became, and I think that when we stop being able to be strategic as a team and say, hey, they let you in the front. Here's how we gonna show it up in the back. We gonna let you be the Trojan horse, right? We gonna let you
Right.
get in. Then we gonna bust it.
We gonna bust it, exactly.
Instead, we like,
There you go, another one.
and then we like, why y'all not trying to bust it? It's, we're not being strategic in
Yes.
using, right, those things. So I do think, I don't necessarily agree. I do know that I have a very unique experience with black men because I have generally not felt unprotected by black men. So I'm going to hold that,
Same.
right, as a
Same.
thing. What I also will see is that a lot of times when I have friends that are talking about their experience with black men, when you run it back, it's like, sis, You excluded this man here, 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 and here, and then somebody pulled the gun and you want him to jump and take the bullet. That's not really how that works, right? And so I think if we're not going to be mindful about how we treat black men along the spectrum, you can't expect them to show up as Clark Kent and be be Superman in that moment.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying it's everybody. Some of the men are absent, right?
Yep.
Some women are absent, right?
Yep.
Deadbeats
Some
got
women are here
vaginas
and
too.
that's
All
it.
these things exist. But I do think that sometimes when I've looked at, especially women who own strength, right? Because I think strength and resilience are not the same. And
That's right. They are not.
But women who own strength and self-sufficiency, you cannot promote that I'm good, I don't need, I'm holding it down. Also, why didn't you protect me? You did not act like you needed me. And so I did not show up. Right? And I know it sounds good to think that they should show up anyway.
But
That's
that's
just
not
not
the
the
way things
nature.
work.
It's not the way things work. So I
Yeah.
do think for women who want to be protected by men, give them room in other places too.
Mm-hmm.
And don't just treat them like bulletproof vests.
Agreed.
Here's what I think the larger problem is, which all of that falls into, and I think in all of the perspectives, is that we're all tired.
That was literally in my brain. I was like, damn, this is
This is a
exhausting.
lot.
Like the amount of like
Exactly.
things you have to do just
This
to
is a
get to
lot.
a healthy place. You're like,
We're
where is the
all
McDonald's
tired.
French fries? Because I
all
am sick
tired.
of it.
We're exhausted, right?
So-
And so black men are exhausted and tired of all the things. Black women are exhausted and tired of having to be in the front, because if the men were in the front, resources were taken away, all of these things. And it's easier to not work together at this point, because working together requires us to dig so deep. So when black women, I believe, are saying, you know, black women aren't protecting me, not that that is true or not that that is right, but that is their feeling and their experience, because it's easier to fall in line with that narrative than it is to say, hey, I'm going to show up and hold space for you.
Yep.
So we can then move forward. And
Yep.
oftentimes black men are preferring other women because it's easier for me to do that with someone who does not know what questions to ask me, how to engage me, so that I have to ask myself these other questions than to strategize and work with a black woman. Because again, it's going to be messy and ugly
Yes,
in the
and
beginning,
work.
and we are exhausted.
Yeah.
We're so tired.
Yeah.
Everybody's
I
tired.
absolutely agree with
Very
Yeah.
tired.
I do believe that at some point you got to pick a struggle.
There
Some
you
point
go.
you do have to
Right.
pick a struggle.
And
Like
so I
that is
think
for sure.
that-
And even when you're not picking one, you're
You're
picking
picking
one.
right?
Mhm.
So I do think there are all those things around. It's easier to.
Yeah.
So then just say we did that. I think what we tend to do then is make those decisions and then validate our decisions to opt out in the demonizing of the other side.
Absolutely.
So as a black man, if I decide to date white women, I can do that without demonizing black men,
Yes,
black
ma'am.
women, right?
Mhm.
I can make that choice and not have to validate it to my community by way of dragging
Mm-hmm.
that all black
Exactly.
women are trash. As a woman, I can feel like I want to navigate my life this particular way. I want to create my own safety, and it doesn't have to be that men are trash.
Right.
It can be this is where I feel safe. I think that we do things that we kind of in our gut don't feel 100% about, and so in order to validate it, we got to demonize
We gotta
somebody
demonize
else.
somebody else.
And I
We have
think
to
do that
project.
a lot in our
Yeah.
community.
Yep.
It's
And that's
all
the-
about the projection as false protection.
And that's that toxicity there too as well, right? That we
Absolutely.
keep bringing to the table, that fissure, that fight, that like it just is so much energy and it's not spent in the right place. And so coming back around as we close out to, you know, all the I call them the faux relationship experts. 'Cause like a faux fur. It might look like a thing, but it is not a thing. How do we learn and grow but not get sucked into the fake, the phony? How do we not get scammed relationally?
There's something that I tell every client that comes to work with me. And that is that there is nothing I can tell you about you that you don't already have the capacity to know. I'm not an expert in you. Only you are an expert in you.
That's right.
My role in this is to hear you, to take what you present to me, and to be able to create tools around that so that I can send it back to you in bite-sized pieces. How is it more easily digestible for you? So when we recognize that we can't look for other people to guide us or to
Right.
lead us,
Right.
but they're only here to give support,
Right.
and only you know what's best for you. even if you demonize others in the process of trying to validate something else. When you make a choice and it leads to a place that you didn't want to be, you know that wasn't the right choice for you.
That's right.
Right? But a huge part of this goes back to what we talked about earlier on, is that self-trust. And if I'm continually making relationship choices that are not leading to the relationship results I want, I begin to distrust myself.
That's right.
And then I start looking for external experts to tell me what to do and who I am and how this will work. So in trying to be as simple and concise and direct as I can be, but also being super clear, I want women, Black women especially and particularly, I'm unapologetically in love with us and about us, right? I want us to begin to reclaim our own sense of self.
Yeah.
And rewrite the narrative for you now, not based on the past tragedy, not based on the past
What is
trauma,
happening
not
today.
based on the things that you see, but really taking a look at who you are now and getting underneath those desires. What is the underlying emotional need that I'm trying to meet? Is it safety? Is it security? Is it those things? And then how do I create a path and a plan to get to that on my own first?
Yep. On my own first.
Then seeking support when you've gotten to a place where you have some level of clarity, so that you know how someone can come in and help you, or at least you'll be able to be receptive to hearing the things that you're not doing right, as opposed to just wanting someone to stroke
Your ego. Woo, because we do pay people to do that. I just want
All
you to
the
know,
time.
all the time.
all the time.
And I feel like it'll start to answer our original question for this particular episode. What you won't do for love. It comes from a good song. And I think there's a lot that we will do and a lot that we won't do for love, that we are going to continue to be on a quest to have a life that we love. I want to thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Y'all, all of Fila's information is below in the comments, in the description. Make sure you grab time with her for her Sacred Queen Academy.
Yes, ma'am.
And just, your life is going to be changed, okay? And if she decides to do an in-person event, you better grab onto it.
Talk
But
about
if
it.
you are thinking about, damn, how do I do things differently so that I don't invite the crazy, so that I'm not listening to the wrong voice, so that I'm actually learning to trust myself, rewind this episode to the beginning, play it while you're taking your shower, play it while you're driving, forward it to a friend, make sure you subscribe, and we will see you next time for A Kish Goodnight. I love that.